Right guys, anyway, I've started another live stream. This is going to be a part 2. I don't know what went wrong with the first one. It was going completely well and then went tits up. So you probably, unless somebody joins, it's going to be a replay and a part 2. So anyway, carrying on, I'm going to build the coil in. I was getting ready to do that before stuff started messing around. So I'm going to use this as my build mod just to get me going, get my binoculars back on. So I want to change back to the other lens. Right, anyway, so to make the coil, moving onwards, even though this is a part 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to undo a post on this side. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move that up but bend it down so you can see what I'm doing. So like I say, I'm going to undo 2 post screws. I'm going to do the opposite way, so I'm going to do one on that side, one on this side at the top. So I want to unscrew that one. So originally I wanted to put a 4mm coil. If you're watching the number 2 on the number 1, that messed up. I ended up with just a normal triple fuse Clapton as the interlock went completely tits up. So got my wire. I'm going to be using a 4mm ID rod from my Coil Master kit, and obviously the jig part that you put it back in. So I'm going to have a look where my wire is. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that my wire is laying flat. Let's get this focusing. I'm going to take that auto lock off. So there we are. I've got it sitting up flat against my coiling jig, and if I have got twists in it, but they should come out as it winds, but it is more or less straight. So let's go. So first wrap, second wrap, third wrap, fourth wrap, 5 wraps. Let's go with 6 wraps. I don't want them parallel, I want it going off opposite way. So let me test that out. So I can fit some more on there. So let me put on another wrap. And I think I will get away with one more wrap on there. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I've got 8 wraps on a 4mm coiling jig, and that just looks perfect. But I don't want it completely parallel. I want it going off a bit like that, like a triangle, so I can put my my legs in the opposite posts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this coil cutting tool that I got with my Bonza Pro. Just makes it easier. I'm going to take my rod completely off that. So I'm going to get my coil, and first cut I'm going to do at 7mm. So I'm just putting this in through the 7mm bit of the cutting tool, and then I'm going to snip the ends off of that. Watch your eyes, and just test that out for size. So a bit more can come off that. So I went 7, let's go 5mm. So again, watch your eyes. Yeah, I'd say that's about just right, without any messing about too much, and it would help if I had the right Allen key. And where did I put that? It's here somewhere in front of me. I just cannot see it. And I don't know where it's gone because I would just shoot. There it is. So stream hasn't gone completely how I wanted it to go to plan. Like I said, I have ended up with a second episode, a part 2. There we are. So I have got that locked in. I don't really want to stretch it or anything. I just want to keep it more or less as is. Height wise, I should be good. Yeah, height wise, I am good. So now that I've done that, I'm just going to quickly go around both the post holes, post screws, not post holes, post screws, and just make sure that they're nice and snug, not too tight, so they're nice and snug. So what I'm just going to quickly do is I'm just going to quickly pull that off, zero out my mod, put that back on. So before it's fired up, it is reading at a 0.54. Yeah, 0.54, but I definitely don't want to be firing it up at that wattage just yet. So I'll start at 35, heat them up slowly. Where's my tweezers? Anyway, guys, this stream, or should I say the second part of the stream, could have gone a bit well. and without dropping my drink on me as well. Perfect. And on my favourite top as well, which I didn't want it. Anyway, it is what it is. Anyway, upwards and onwards. So that's in there nicely. I'm going to be firing it at 35 watts to begin with. Let me have another drink because that completely missed my mouth. So, just making sure you can see what I'm doing here. I am just going to slowly heat these up. Very slowly. As you can see, there's a bit of hot spotting just there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pinch these together, give it a little strum like that, a little pinch I mean, like that. So there is some hot spots just there, but work them out, just work them out, give it a strum, and to keep going, give it a strum, strum. Now there is a hot spot underneath, that's a bit better. So that's more or less firing perfectly. So I am going to try not to mess up the coil, is what I'm going to try and do. So pinch that and just put that back to how it was, and we'll start pinching and pulsing again, or strumming and pulsing. So I'm just going to strum it. Perfect. And that is not touching the bottom of the deck, and that's firing just nicely. So I am going to just creep up the wattage a bit because I did want to put it on series. And what I like to do, especially with the series, if it's running at full power, full 8.4, I like to just slowly increase the wattage just to make sure no hot spots occur. Just give it a pulse. This is at 90 watts and that's working fine. Let's bump this up to 110 and that's fine. Not getting any hot spots at that wattage. So I'm going to bump it right up to 150 and give it a quick pulse. And as you can see, there is no hot spots in that whatsoever. So I'm going to bring that wattage down. We don't want to burn out my coils. I'm going to pull this off and then get a final reading. Zero out the mod. So we are resting at 0.82 ohms, just there. Gonna wait for that to cool down. Like so. So there we are. So time for cotton. So what I'm going to do is, does that work? Yeah, that works a bit better there, like that. So I'm using this cotton as I've been doing. And it's a nice big 4mm coil. So this might be enough, or just enough, maybe. Or just right. Or just a right amount of cotton. So I'm just going to gently pull that through, but I can tell already that is just a smidgen a bit too thick. So I'm going to pull some cotton off that and then pull that through. And that is too less, so I'm going to pull a bit more off this piece and join it with this piece. And that is perfect. Nice amount of tension in there, which is what I want. I probably will not be thinning out this cotton. I'll fluff it up, but I will not be thinning it out. So I'm just going to roughly cut it about there. So I'm just going to, I'm not thinning it, I'm just fluffing it out. I just want to fluff it out so it's nice and fluffy. And then I'm going to carefully pop it into there. And that is a bit too long. That's a bit too long. So welcome back, whoever's come back. I've had to do a part 2. Just everything went tits up, so hopefully it won't go tits up again. So welcome back if you've come back. I've got this mounted. I'm just trimming that off a bit more. And pop that straight in there, like so. Now I'll even go as far to say as this side, because it's more the thicker side, will need combing out just a smidgen. And that's just so it's not so much packed in there. I am running this, going to be running this on a series device, so I don't want the cotton too thin so it doesn't get choked and then you end up getting dry hits, and that straight away feels much better. Yeah, yes. Yeah. So as you can see, there's nice and fluffy duffy. Just there, it's not too packed in, which is how I want it. Now this side I probably won't thin out because this is the thinner side. So I'm going to chop it about there. That will need a proper cut. There we are, like that. So I'm not trying to thin it out, I'm just trying to fluff it up. And then I want to tuck that in. And I spoke too soon. That will need a smidgen of a thin out. Do some underfiling just there, and then I'm just going to gently tug. And then just clean up those ends. Yeah. Still needs thinning out a bit more. It's a bit too thick. So I thought I wouldn't need to thin it out, but obviously I do need to thin it out. So pull that out again. Just clean the end up of that. And tuck in. And that is a lot better. I don't want it packed because I'm putting it on a series device. I don't want that juice well too thick with cotton. Like so. So that's cottoned up. So that is that. So I'm going to take this off. That is ready to be put on a device. Stick my bonzer back on here. Have a vape because I need one. That Bonza RDA, gorgeous. Right, anyway, let's get down to business. What device am I putting this on? Now, series, it is a series device that I will be putting this on. So that's the end result, ohming out at about 0.82 ohms, which is perfect for a series, and a series mech at that. So I'm just going to do some housekeeping. And just tidy stuff up. stuff that I don't need right now. Bit of a tidy up so everything's nicely out the way without knocking other stuff over and off. Pop that in there, that in there. So, device I'm going to put it on is going to be a mech. It is a clone mech. Thank you for rejoining, whoever you are. Thanks for the second person that's rejoined. I've had to do another stream because my connection went completely tits up. So thank you for rejoining. Just comment so I know who you are. I've opened my other beer, so cheers. Boy, stressful live. So thanks for rejoining if you're rejoining. So I've got the Kylan built up there. I've got 1, 2, 3. So I've got 8 wraps on a 4mm diameter. Just there. Just there. Which should be perfect. I've got it wicked up, fluffed up. I thought I might not need to thin out the wicks because obviously I'm putting it on a series, but I did have to fluff it out just a tad. Let me get this back out here. No, that's a bit better. So I have had to fluff it out just a tad because I don't want it thick. I want it to wick very, very well. Obviously with me putting it on a device. Now, seeing as that 2 people have come back, I have chose the device. It is a mech mod, a clone at that. Now, I know how some people think about or feel about clones. I always try to source authentics, but this device is so old. At the time, they were inaccessible once they'd sold the batch that they made. Okay, so I'm going to be putting it on the Lucifer by El Diablo. There we are. And to be fair, it is a decent clone, to be fair. The only really differences compared to the authentic is because this can be run in series and you can convert it to parallel. There's a few internals you have to change, but the only thing that's different compared to the authentic is this bottom piece where you have to change one of these plastic pieces for a metal piece, and that's normally under this border section, not on top like it is on the clone here, but it still works exactly the same way. So there's your 510. You've got an adjustable 510 screw there to make contact with your atomizer. Obviously your firing switch and your lock switch just there, a bit like a grip of a pistol. So unlock it there and then you can press your button all the way in. But when it's locked, it cuts it off. Like that. So that's that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to screw this on like so. I want to make sure that I am getting connection. Which I don't think I am. Feels like I'm bottoming out without feeling anything. So I'm just going to adjust that pin there. It's not adjustable, it's not floating, you have to unscrew it. So I'm just going to back that out a turn and see what it's like. With me adjusting that screw a bit, which I am getting connection, but I have unscrewed it a bit too much. So who's rejoined? Can you comment? So I'm just going to set that screw in half a turn. Because I don't know if you're people that are rejoining or just new people. So yeah, still got it. So it didn't need to come out that much, just a tad. So I'm going to screw it all the way down, and then I'm just going to do it a quarter of a turn, and then hopefully I'll get the connection I want, which I think is about there. I am getting connection, so that's the connection. That's the deck on there for some batteries. So batteries I'm using are Molicel P28. Use high drain batteries when you're using a mech. I've got some OBD booby wraps, which is similar to my mat I've got here. Both got the same wrap. I've got different wraps for different configurations of stuff. So these I know for definite, these are for series configuration, but like obviously with my Bench Warrior on my Hammer of God, I do have different style ODB wraps in that. So they are different. I'm going to give this a 2. This has got some monster interlock aliens on there. That's nice. So anyway, batteries, I'm going to get them in the mod. So battery caps, just going to unscrew them. I'm going to use some tweezers just to get the battery cap off, and that's basically your battery cap just there. So that battery, it needs to be negative facing down. So pop that in there, negative facing down, and pop the cap on, making sure it's snug. I'm not doing it too tight, I'm just doing it snug. So there's a connection just there. And then on this side, it needs to be positive facing down. So make sure you don't get this wrong, guys, because this is a mech mod and you can, in these sort of things, they haven't got protection, so you need to be vigilant about what you're doing, because obviously they have no protection. So whenever I use this mod, I always put my finger underneath just to make sure nothing's getting warm, which it isn't. So it shouldn't present a problem. So juice that I am going to use on this is some Dark Star scones, which is one of my favourite companies to purchase off. So let me just get that up because of YouTube and their policies. So Scones by Dark Star. This is a really nice e-liquid. Get that off. So that's what I'm going to be dripping on there. So I've got my safety lock turned off, and let's get this dripped and juiced up. So thanks you guys that have rejoined, and if you were from the first stream that messed up. So this is the part 2. So going to get you there we are. So let's drip. The sequel's always better. Thanks, John, for joining. Thanks for everybody who's rejoining. The first flipping thingy went tits up on me. So yeah, the sequel. So originally I was going to do an interlock. I haven't. I've done just a triple fuse Clapton. I've got a 8 wrap on there on a 4mm diameter, ohming out about 0.8. I've got it on this Lucifer clone mech mod, which is a series mech mod. I did try get an authentic but couldn't source one, so it is a clone. So there it is. But it is a really good clone, I must say. So anyway, I'm doing that. I'm putting some Dark Star scones on there, and we'll just get going. But thanks for rejoining, John, and whoever else is in that is rejoined. So let's drip some juice on that. Oh yes. I want to keep that going. And just how I wanted it, I did want KJ, thanks for joining, coming in, dipping in. They don't sell it in the States, KJ, but they do. They might ship there. I think they do ship there. But if you go onto the Facebook group and just join the group and just ask that question, one of the admins will get hold of you, whether it's Jenny, Mike, Green, or somebody else. Boom. You know, but they do good liquids. I enjoy them, and they come in different configurations, whether you get in short fills, long fills, or you get them like I do, which is in a bottle shot. Yeah. So yeah, that's that. So here we are. That's nice. Let me just readjust. But yeah, that's a good shout, John. Thanks for that, mate. But mainly I do get my juices custom made off a guy. So there we are, all juiced up. And It's nice and rowdy. So a bottle shot is basically this here, which is a 250 mils of juice. Now, when you get it, you don't get it already made. You get just the concentrate in the bottom. And then what you do is you add nic shots to your preferred nicotine strength, and then you top it up with base mix VG and PG, which they do sell on their site. Okay, and there's loads of flavors on there as well to choose from: dessert, ice flavors, so forth and so forth. But they don't just do these ones, they do short fills and long fills if you can't be bothered with adding your VG and thingy. But then, yeah, you get it with your concentrate in it, which works out around about a tenner, and then your nic shots, and then your base mix, and then bam, and then you fill it to about where my finger is, just here, and give it a shake. And then depending on what it is you are vaping on, you give it a steep time. If it's fruit flavors, a week or two. Dessert flavors, 6 weeks. Longer the better. With dessert flavors, this has been steeping for over a year now. So this has had a year steep on it, and it's just tasty as anything. But yeah, they do normal short fills and stuff. I mean, if you're in the USA, you probably don't know what I'm talking about, because obviously in the USA you still get juices with nicotine already in it. In the UK, you can't. If it's over 10 mils, it's got to be without nic. So the short fills will be obviously steeped for a bit, and you just have to add your nic shots in. The short fills, you can fit, you get 100 mils of liquid, and then you put your nicotine in it. So depending on obviously your nicotine strength, obviously how to put in, but for 2 nicotine shots in 120 will give you 3 milligram. But they do come pre-steeped. It's just nicotine in it, shake it, give it 24 hours and use it. Yeah, they're more convenient. But then because they do different types of base mix, you can choose the ratio that you want your end result to be at as well if you do short fills. So if you use the high VG base mix in one that you have to add VG in, it brings it out to a 70-30 mix. If you're wanting a 50-50 for a pod or maybe an MTL, you'd use the 50-50 base mix that they use. I know it might sound a bit complicated if you're not familiar with it, but if you get onto their Facebook group, Dark Star, yeah, somebody will help you as well. So that's all juiced up, and it's nice and spicy or rowdy, which is how I want it. So I'm just going to pull that off there for now. And I'm going to pop the deck on to that, like that. And then I'm going to, or I'm going to try. No problem, no problem, KJ. They're so helpful on there, and the customer service is next to nothing. They are excellent on customer service. If you have a problem, they will do their best to put it right. So I've just put it on there just so I can turn the juice flow off. Once the juice is in there, I'll free up that juice flow just a bit. So pop that back on the mod. So I'm gonna whip the top off, fill it up. So in this sort of instance, I would not fill the tank up too far until I'd known that it was definitely not going to flood on me. So I'm going to fill it up about halfway. And then I'm going to pop the top on like that. I'm just going to open that. So that's what we've got. Now, I know that drip tip actually goes well with the Delrin on the Lucifer, but I'm going to change that out. Sticky hands. That took for ages to get that off. Ooh. Let's have a look at that. So as you can see, the top half of this tank is chipping away, but that's just because it's had a lot of use. Now I am going to put this one on. This is one that I normally would use on it. So this is an old school drip tip. This was made by a drip tip maker by the name of Vince's Tips, which no longer does drip tips no more. So I got these in like 2015, 2016 time, and they're still going strong, still beautiful. No chipping and pitting on the resin there, and it comes up nice as well on there. So I'm just going to pop that on there. So that does look better. Now I know that's going to drive some people's OCD crazy. It did me when I first do it, but I like the way that drip tip looks on this tank. I don't remember the gap being that big, but yeah, I don't know, that's bothering me now. Oh, John, do you remember Vince? Yeah, top guy. I've got loads of drip tips off him when he were doing them. But yeah, I've probably got about half a dozen drip tips of his that are still working. They haven't come apart. They haven't degraded in any way. So I'm just going to open that juice flow up like that. We have got a few bubbles happening there. Doesn't sound like I'm getting any normally I would, but it's just for some reason this RTA, there is a gap on anything else I own. It fits flat and flush, but that's the only reason why I haven't adjusted it anyway. I don't remember the gap being that big though, but it never used to really bother me, even though I do have OCD. So I'm just gonna have a quick test fire on this, which everything seems to be working fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to readjust my camera and go back to FaceTime or Face View, and we'll have a toot on it and talk about it a bit. But I think that looks brilliant. I did used to run this RTA on this mod, and that's the Lucifer from Diablo, and that's the other side there. So, just going to quickly do some sort of cleaning up, some housekeeping, like I normally like to say. Thanks for everybody who's rejoined. It took me like 10-15 minutes to sort something out and start back up again. I don't know what went wrong. Everything seems to be going all right now. KJ, unfortunately, I've already rebuilt. This is actually the part 2. So when this stream ends, if you go back to my lives, there is one before this. So it'll just say normal episode 7. So you can always catch that, and that's about an hour and 40 minutes. When I had problems is when I'd finished making the coil. So this is just the follow on me building it, getting it on there. So after this build, if you just drop back to my previous live, you'll get the first part of what this live was. But like I said, it did mess up a bit. So that's that. So put that away, wire away. Make sure nothing's in the thing. And like I say, I do use these clear pop tubs to keep my RTAs and RDAs all nice. Put that up there. And that up there. And I have them for all my RDAs and RTAs. I mean, when I move the camera, I'll give you a quick look. So, let me bring that up so you can see me. There we are. So I'm going to move the camera back to this space so you can see me a bit better. But before I do that, I'll just give you a quick look at my wall here. So as you can see, at the top I've got RTAs, and on that second shelf they're all RDAs. And I do have extras and stuff, but I keep them in pop tubs. They look a lot better, and just keep them clean. Don't have to keep wiping them like I have to do with my mods sometime. And bring that up a bit. Let me get this right. So that's how I need it to be. Like so. Boom. Like I say, one weird stream, but we got there in the end. So like I say, if you did miss the build part, get back to the stream before this. You'll know it. It's the same episode, but this one's called P2 Part 2. So let me do that. Move this out the way. Adjust my chair. So you can see me. There we are. And move that like that a bit and move up. There we are. There we are. We got there eventually. And there we are. We've got there eventually. Oh, thank you. It's not even mine. It's my wife's father's, but he's passed away. So I made use of it. Obviously, in my room, I didn't always have this room. I had a corner of a room in a flat, and then since we moved to where we are now, I'm lucky enough to have a whole room to myself. So let's have a drink. I mean, within all that messing around and time, I did crack open my other drink. Got a bit stressful. So cheers, guys, again. So here we are. So I've got the Lucifer Clone Series Mech Mod. And now this is messing up on me as it's locked. Oh, it's because it's locked. There we are. That's a bit better. So got the Lucifer series mech mod. Got the Kylin, OG Kylin RTA, and I've got series coil on there. It isn't the interlock alien that I originally wanted to do, because I messed it up completely. So I wasn't messing around. I did salvage the cores and I just did a normal Clapton wire. But it's a live stream. That's how it's done, and I've already rung over with all the messing about and restreaming, but I didn't want to just end it like that. I wanted to redo and carry on what I'm doing. So like I say, there it's got ohming out, 4mm coil, single coil ohming out at 0.82. I don't know if it'll come up on my mic, but it's nice and rowdy. So cheers guys, let's have a toot. And I've got the airflow all the way, well, not all the way open. I did have it all the way open, but that wasn't bad. I might even shut it down just a tad more, another thing. So I've basically shut the airflow down to halfway, because it is very airy. Perfect, lovely. Still good flavour. Still good flavour. So if you're not familiar, if you're new or replay and you're not familiar with series mech mods, you're just getting full power, no safety, no wattage to adjust. You get the full 8.4 volts straight from that. And as you can see, it's getting very cloudy in here. I do have my window open. Where are we? There we are. So thanks everybody that rejoined. I really do appreciate it. These things do happen. It's alive. It wouldn't be normal if it didn't. Now it seems to be wicking perfectly. Now there is little bubbles here and there, but it's not affecting the wicking. Seems to be wicking. Seems to be wicking perfectly. So yeah, it doesn't seem to be drying up too quick. So what I'm going to do is I'll chain vape this and see how long it takes for it to dry up. But in general, it just seems to be wicking perfectly fine. That got my throat. Still going. And I'm actually getting killer flavour from this. I'm using this juice. I know what it tastes like, and honestly, I can't complain about the flavour. A on flavour. Oh, don't start again. So it looks as if saying that I'm having some problems, but it doesn't look as if it's glitching. So I'm gonna hurry up and hopefully wrap this up quickly before it starts messing around again. It's obviously my connection and not my computer, excuse me, or my phone or streaming stuff. Yeah, wicking like a champ. So yeah. So I've run on about nearly 3 hours, obviously, with the stream before. So if you jump into this and you wonder why it started at such a way, it's because messed up on the first stream and I went live for a second time. So you want episode 7 for the first one, and the second one, this one, is episode 7 P2 part 2. So before it starts messing up, I'm going to end it there, guys. Thanks for everybody that joined on the original stream. Thanks for everybody that's joined and jumped back into the second part 2. Lucifer and the OG Kylie. Okay, coil didn't go to plan, but I did make a coil out of it nevertheless. Excuse me. That wasn't from this though. Like I say, it wasn't from this, it's just my throat. Do I even vape, bro? So I'm going to leave it there. So if you like the content, if you're new, if you hashtag replay crew, and this is the type of content that you like, just a bit of nostalgia, looking at stuff that's from about 10 years old onwards, please consider hitting that subscribe button. Hit the bell icon so you select all. So it doesn't matter what I upload, whether it's a short, a live, a video, you will be alerted. Hit that like button, okay? It will help with the videos to get it out there with the algorithms and everything. Get this video out for people that might be interested in old school stuff, really, and a bit of nostalgia as well. So if it's something that you're interested in, please, like I say, hit that subscribe button, like, share as well. Feel free to share. And if you've just joined as well, there is previous lives. Go check them out as well. They're all in a playlist as well. So stop rambling. I'll end it there. Thanks for everybody that's joined. Thanks for everybody that's rejoined in this one. I really appreciate it. Do a live every Wednesday, 8 p.m. GMT UK time. So I'm here every week apart from last week because I've had a busy week. But like I say, I'll stop rambling. I'll leave it there. Thanks for joining, and I will get you on the next one. But let me just sort this out because this software, I've got to do some double clicks. So guys, thank you very much for joining, and I will see you next week. Keep it cloudy, and I hope you enjoyed the stream. Peace and love.